Imagine this. I'm at a party with friends celebrating my best friend's farewell, Astrid. I can listen to Selena's song, Como una flor. And naturally, I'm singing along and dancing, surrounded by beautiful Venezuelan friends doing the same. We're all dancing. And this is what we do. We celebrate life with joy and energy, and the atmosphere is electric. Everything is perfect. And we're partying as if there is no tomorrow. And suddenly, during the laughter and the music, it happens again. A heat rises within me. But this time it's not from the dancing. It's a strong heat that seems to come from nowhere. And I notice Alexia, she's looking at me like her eyes wide open. She looks like she's seen an alien. And she doesn't understand what's happening to me. My face flushes, I'm turning red as a tomato, and I can feel the drops of my sweat forming of my scalp. And it's so hot that I can almost taste it. My heart races and I can feel the pounding. And from a moment, I'm unsure. Like, do I stop dancing or do I push through? And that, my friends, is what I call a hot flash. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here and welcome to Thrive Through Menopause. I'm Janita Puy, a wellness speaker, coach, and a board member of the Emory Alumni Latinx. My passion is helping women navigate major life transitions. And let's be honest, menopause is one of them, right? And I couldn't be more excited to have this conversation with my business partner, my friend, my co-host of Saludablemente Mujer podcast, and of course, my personal menopause coach, Valeria Espinosa. Valeria, she's a certified hormonal health coach who, after experiencing menopause at 44 years old, she made her vision to educate and empower women to navigate this phase with knowledge and confidence. So today we want to talk about menopause and the Thrive framework, a holistic approach that helps women take charge of their menopause instead of letting menopause take charge of them. So I'm just going to go right there with the questions. Remember, this is going to be very interactive. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat. We'll go through it maybe at the end and, engage with what we're saying. So I read the other day, Valeria, that 9 out of 10 women were never educated about menopause in school. And over 60% only started looking for information once their symptoms had already started, like it happened to me. So my first question is, why is menopause still such a taboo topic? Women talk about pregnancy, childbirth, and even Botox. I talk about Botox with my friends, but menopause, it seems to be something that we whisper about. Like, we don't want to say anything. So what do you think is behind that, Valeria? And welcome.
Well, first of all, thank you, Yanni, and thank you everyone for being here today to talk about this topic that is a passion for me, menopause and how to transition to this stage or facing life in a healthy and in a more open way that our previous generations. And regarding your question, yes, menopause is still considered a huge taboo in society. It's like the white elephant in the living room. Everyone sees the elephant, but no one talks about it. And I think that the main reason for that is because for many generations, for many years, centuries perhaps, women have been seen as you said, as the mothers, the family, in charge of family, of raising kids, and not as an active member of a productive member of society. This has changed, I think, for the last maybe 25, 30 years. And more women are being involved as part of the society with a voice, with studies, with preparation. So it is changing, I think, a little by little. This is changing, but yes, there is still a long way, because we have to change the narrative from just being the women who had children or just decided to be at home with them, and decided to be a productive part of society for many more years. Also, it's important to know that now we have how do you say, life expectancy that has increased with years. I think now it's 75 years for women. And before, due to medicine and science, we were not able to live that long. Now that we live longer and we have access to medicine and new holistic ways to take care of ourselves, we can live longer. The question now is how we want to live those decades of our life when we hit 40, 50 years old. We want to live them healthy, we want to live them in charge of our health, or we would like to live like many women before us in silence, in ignorance, in feeling invisible to society.
That's beautiful, Valeria. But I don't know if you guys know this, but Valeria taught me that menopause is just one day. So we're talking about menopause is here, but what is menopause? Let's just bring it out there because I never knew that menopause was just one day. So either we're premenopause or perimenopause, or that, and then we spend like maybe 3 decades or 4 decades, depending on how much we live,
Yes.
post-menopause. So what is menopause?
Okay, yes. As you say, Yanni, menopause is just one day. It's the day when you don't have your period for 12 months straight. That's the day when you are really in menopause. That is only one day. If during that 12 months you have spotting, you have a period, then you have to count back again for 12 months. The period before hitting that day is called perimenopause and is around like 5 to 8 years when your body starts changing or transitioning to this phase when you lose the ability basically to the fertility phase when you can really get pregnant and have a baby. But that change in the hormones all over your body affects you in different ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, and is a transition period that when you get to menopause around 52 years old, is that's the average, you will have get to experience all these changes. Some women experience them in a very strong way, other women barely mild, and there are a few women who don't experience them at all. There are cases like that. That's not the most of them experience some type of symptoms because our bodies change. Definitely, there is a change. And then after you get to the menopause day when you don't have your period for 12 months, then you are considered a post-menopausal woman. I have been in this period for already 8 years, and I'm still here with some ones around and so many changes. But yes, I'm considered a postmenopausal woman. That's important to know because many people consider the period, the whole transition period, as menopause, and that's not true. There is a transition period called perimenopause, the menopause day, and then you are a postmenopausal woman.
So Valeria, you were talking about hormonal changes. So I
Yes.
mean, I don't know as much as you do, but everything that I know is thanks to you and the books that I've read. What happens with estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in the body when we're starting to age or we're in perimenopause?
Yes, what basically happens is that we start having a decline on the production of those hormones in our body, and that's why so many changes happen because these hormones, especially estrogen, they rule many processes in our body. Not only the ones related to fertility, but also other processes like the cognitive health of our brain, also the metabolism, the health of our bones, our joints. There are many processes in the body ruled by estrogen. The minute that estrogen starts declining, and as I said before, it can happen between 5 to 8 years. You can start around 45 years old. That decline in hormones produces all these changes, and that is why so many women suffer because these changes led to feel us like unease. We don't understand what's going on with our body. Many women experience these hot flashes that you mentioned at the beginning, that mood swings that we start seeing what's going on with us. I mean, I'm not this person. I don't recognize myself as this person anymore. There's also changes in the sleep patterns. There are many, many symptoms. We will talk about them later. But yes, the decline in the hormones production naturally leads to these changes. And as I read, I don't remember where, I think in a book, it says that menopause is like the puberty, but the other way around, because as our young girls start experiencing puberty, they are not as aware as we are now aware of our body changes, and that is one of the reasons it hits us so much, especially on the emotional side.
Okay, so I want to talk about the symptoms, but
Mhm.
first let's do this. I want everybody, and I invite you to put yes in the chat if you have ever felt like you're burning from the inside out and started sweating like you're training for a marathon without moving a muscle. I want to see some yes here. Yes, Mary. Who else? Nobody else? Oh, that's good. Maritza, maybe not because she's younger, but I mean, I have, like I told you at the beginning. Yes, and yes, Gabby, yes. And this is the reason you're here. I've been there way past it. Okay, good. I like it. Awesome. Okay, write yes in the chat. Thank you, Lori. If you had mood swings like anxiety, sadness, or irrational annoyance all within 5 minutes, leaving everyone around you and yourself like, what did just happen? Yes, Lori. I was talking. Is it Lori? I have my glasses. Julie, yes. It's like really those swings that Valeria was talking about. What about if you have experienced discomfort during intimate moments and reach for a magic button to pause and adjust the comfort level like a video game? That happens, and we're going to talk about libido and all of that. Or what about, right? Yes, if you have forgotten, I don't know what happened this couple of days for me, but if you have forgotten in the kitchen, you went to the kitchen and you're like, okay, you're staring in the fridge and it's like, what am I doing here? And then you leave and then you come back. Oh, I know. So right, yes, yes. Dr. Connie, thank you. Gabby, of course, many times. It happened to me like so many times within 2 days. And I'm like, am I getting crazy just like right now? Or let's say I did this for some time, right? Yes, if you have kept a tampon in your purse at all times because you have no idea when your period is going to come. Some yes here, Mary, yes, Foggy Brain, you, Julie, yes. And I have some things that Valeria recommended to me that I have on. Yes, awesome. All right, so let's talk about mood swings that make you feel, like you have three different personalities. The brain fog that turns your fridge into a magical mystery box, like I was saying, like, what am I doing here? Hot flashes that make you sweat like you're running a marathon. So let's talk about symptoms, Valeria. I read that 70% of women experience hot flashes during menopause. And 82% of women report forgetfulness and memory issues. So, which of these menopause symptoms surprise you the most? And I want to know what are the most common on your clients?
Well, yes, definitely. I think that the one of the most common is the hot flashes. Um, all of a sudden, you're sitting down with friends or in a meeting, or you're just there at your house, and then you experience all of a sudden this rush of heat going um, from your breasts, all through your neck, your head, your your hair is soaking, and yes, there's this happened because there is a change in the. It's not only related to hormones, but there is also a change in the one of the neurons of the brain who regulate the temperature of the body due to the hormones decline, estrogen especially, and this produces this. I think this is one of the most stressing physical symptoms that you because it lasts like I don't know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then all of a sudden many of my clients then experience cold. They feel they are shaking with cold, and then you're left like, wow, what happened to me? That is one of the most common symptoms. The other one is the one you mentioned, the mood shifts, anxiety that appears out of nowhere, irritability, emotional sensitivity, lack of patience. Also, the brain fog. For me, brain fog was huge. I didn't experience myself like hot flashes, but the brain fog was some of the worst things that happen and is still happening to me nowadays. The concentration issues, the memory lapses. I mean, I used to have a real good memory for faces, for names, for dates, and all of a sudden I have the word in the tip of my tongue and I cannot even pronounce it. I'm like, what? I can see you, Yanira, and I know you're my partner, you're my friend, but I cannot say your name. I know it starts with a Y. Name is Yolanda. No, it is Jessica. No, things like that. I mean, this is an extreme example, but it has happened. It happens a lot. And the classic example that you go to the kitchen and then all of a sudden you say, "What am I doing here? What I was looking for here at the kitchen?" Then you go back to your bedroom and then you say, "Oh yes, I went to the kitchen to grab a glass of water." Things like that. I think those are the most common. Also, the change in the sleep patterns. Many women start experiencing insomnia. They cannot go back to sleep after they wake up in the middle of the night. And also, other super common symptom is the metabolism start getting slow. That is so losing weight is harder and harder. I mean, in the past, I don't know, you gain 5 pounds in 1 week when you go to vacation, then you come back and you eat salad for a week, and that's fine. You lose the 5 pounds. At this age and this time, when I go to vacation and I gain 5 pounds, I don't lose them. I mean, that's it. I stay with the 5 pounds.
They're like just right here.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I have to work triple exercise, water just to lose or to shed those pounds. I think those are the most common symptoms that women experience. But as I said, and I like to say this, we are every one of us are unique, and it can happen to many women, but there are some women who, in my experience, have done the correct changes in time. I mean, they have changed their lifestyles. They have learned how to take care of themselves before they hit the stage in life, and they are able to navigate it in a better way, in a more smooth way. But we can talk about that later when we talk about how to take care of ourselves in a better way before we get to menopause.
Valeria, I want to take this question because I think it's important and I was
Mhm.
sure that you would answer. But I mean, I don't know the name because it says iPhone, but she says, are night sweats actually hot flashes or different?
Yeah, it's the same. It's just a different name to call the same symptom. The only difference is that, as you say, you're sleeping and in the middle of the night you just wake up and all of a sudden you want to drop everything, the shades, your pajama, and you are like, what is going on here? The temperature in the room is so you cannot stand. It has to be super, super, super cold. And the problem is that many women, after experiencing these night sweats, it's very hard to go back to sleep. And that's why insomnia or changes in the sleep pattern come, because imagine you are sweating, then you go and change your PJ, then you go back to your bed, you change everything, and then maybe 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you just lost completely your sleep pattern. And it's very hard to go back to sleep. And then the following day you have to wake up early, go to work, do your normal life, but you are completely exhausted. And the cycle start over again, because you can experience the sweats when you are doing your regular life throughout the day, right? You're working, you're at home with kids, you're doing running errands, and you keep feeling these sweats, these as they call it in Spanish, sofocos, right? You are hot in another sense,
Eh,
right? Not hot in the sense that
right.
uh,
Valeria, one of the things that I do, and for everybody that are here in the call, I started. I have a fan, right,
Mhm, mhm.
in the floor that gets right through me, and this is something Valeria introduced it to me, and then my sister-in-law gave it to me. This is a neck fan. Okay, so if this is, I mean, if it's a problem, if you're at home or maybe at your office, you can do it. Or I've seen people actually outside, Valeria, doing that. And then I wanted to show you because I have this as well. So the story at the beginning was last year in May, and it was hot and I was sweating. So I started with my fan, and it's funny because something that, and I think we're gonna talk about it when we talk about Thrive Menopause. But one of the things that I did when I was so hard, I think in my mind, what I was experienced was the worst ever. And then, and you know this, Valeria, because she's my menopause coach. But then I talk to my hot flashes in front of a mirror, and I'm like, okay, you're here. It's not the end of the world. Um, we're gonna deal with this together. And then they went away. So I think the mindset makes a lot of sense. But so you already talked about the common
Mhm.
symptoms. But I do believe, and I have experience, and when I talk, and this is why this talk is very important, because the more we know, the more we can do things to change that. But many women, they don't realize that menopause affect so much than just the period or not sleeping well, the hot
Mhm.
flashes, whatever. So I wanna understand what some other symptoms, because, and I'm gonna talk about my experience. I got, I don't know, like last year I got joint pain, and I'm like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or something as simple as I had to spend like 15 years without using deodorant. And now some days I have to use deodorant, just like I feel, just like you said, in puberty, just like I'm 12 years old. So can you talk about all those symptoms? Me
Yes.
too.
Yes, Anita, this
Yes,
is
but
important.
anyway, before you keep going, can you write on the chat
Um,
what are the symptoms that you are experiencing? What are they? Because if everybody knows, like, if you're not there yet, at least this talk is gonna be great for you. So go ahead, Valeria.
well, there are, I was reading the other day, there are like around 40 menopause symptoms. There is many, many symptoms related to this transition phase in life. The most common are the ones we mentioned before, but there are many other symptoms that we experience besides the changes in the menstrual period. That's important to say. When you start experiencing changes in your menstrual period, it is one of the signs that you are going through this phase. And then the hot flashes and the lack of sleep, or those are the most common, but there are others. And in my case, as I said before, I didn't experience hot flashes. I mean, that happened to me, but I experienced many others. For example, I started experiencing dry eyes. For me, it was unbearable because I woke up around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I couldn't open my eyes because of the lack of tears. And this is so, and I was already under a menopause diagnosis. I mean, my doctor said, you are already menopause, but he never told me it was related to menopause until I went to the optometrist, and he said to me, and I told him, look, I have dry eyes. And he said, okay, when was your last menstrual period? And I said, well, I don't know, like a year and a half ago. And he said, well, you know that dry eyes happens due to the decline in testosterone. And I was, okay, really? My gynecologist never told that to me. And then he prescribed me like, tears, artificial tears. I use them all the time. And now after 8 years of being in menopause, it is much better. It's much better. I mean, I have overcome it, but it was one of the more annoying things to experience, not not having tears in your eyes. Also, you can have this condition called tinnitus. That is that you feel your in your ear. You feel this buzzing, like a little bell ringing in your ears all the time. the other body odor that you mentioned before. In my case, I also experienced digestive problems. I never suffered from digestive issues before, but now I am more sensitive to certain things. I am taking probiotics, and I'm very careful not eating like very spicy food. We can start developing some food sensitivities. The joint pain in my case has been very, very rough in my hands, in my fingers, in my feet, in my knees. And I have done many, many, many tests to see if I have a rheumatoid arthritis. Nothing. I'm good. I don't have any anti-inflammatory markers. And my doctor says, well, I have seen like 2 or 3 doctors on this, and they say there is no main reason. Maybe it's because you went through menopause when you were super young. So those are and the other one I experienced, the dry skin. The skin super, super dry here on my elbows, on my knees. I also experienced lots of UTIs, urinary tract infections, at the beginning. Now I know more about how to deal with them, and I haven't gotten them in a couple of years. But at the beginning, I would say the first 4 years, I was in antibiotics all the time because I got UTIs frequently because my vagina was super dry. There is no moisture down there anymore, so many bacteria went into that area, and I experienced those very annoying infections. That is another thing that is very common too, but it's not considered like a symptom related to menopause. You know what I mean? Um, but it's related to that too.
I think it's unbelievable, Valeria. So you said like 40. I read 34 different symptoms. So yeah, like in the chat, Julie, yeah, like Julie and Riyadh, they both said that deodorant is right now it's a must, right? So the dry skin, I don't recognize my skin these days. Mary says, with all the new, never before experienced dry skin. That's very interesting. Some of the things that also happened to me, um, my heartbeat. So I thought I was having a heart attack. And the thing, and again, these kind of talks are important. And the more that we advocate and the more that we know, the better we're going to understand our bodies. Because one of the things that Valeria and I talk in the podcast is that, it's about everything related to health. And the more that we know, the better decisions that we can make for our health. So for me, it was the heartbeats. I remember sitting with my friends last year and we're talking, and then it's like, boom, boom, boom. I didn't say anything at that moment, and it kept happening. But and the beauty of this, once that I knew, I understood, and they went away. So I know that I'm not dying from a heart attack, hopefully. And something that can happen as well, osteoporosis,
Yeah,
that happen, osteopenia. So your bones, they get they I mean they
they
lose
lose the muscle
the
mass
tissue.
and the tissue.
And muscle mass as well. And one of the things that I thought it was really interesting, because I didn't know when I went to the doctor 2 years ago, it was formication, which is the sensation of insects crawling your skin. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, I'm going to the next thing because, okay, yes, we have all these symptoms. What can we do about it? And Valeria and I developed this guide, and I'm gonna give you the link so you can download the guide in your computer. But it's called the Thrive Framework because, I mean, there is a need for women to have a structured, holistic way to navigate menopause. So let's talk about Thrive and what the letters THRIVE stands for. And I do want to talk about Think Positively, which is the first one, because it happened to me when I started thinking, okay, so it's not a big deal. They had flashes and they went away. So menopause is not only a physical thing, as you saw. anxiety, depression, mood swings. There are many things that are going on. And I love it when Valeria introduced me to the concept as well that, I mean, there are many things going in our life. Most likely we're 50 when this happened. Maybe we got divorced. Maybe the kids are not here. Maybe I'm lost a job. Maybe, I'm trying to figure out what my next step is. So I think reframing menopause as a new beginning is also good rather than thinking about it as, okay, this is the worst, I'm gonna die. And that's the way Valeria taught me to see it. What do you think about the mindset, Valeria? And you guys, you can also say in the chat.
Well, I think mindset and the way our attitude and our how we approach this phase in life is, I think, is one of the most important things besides getting a hormonal treatment if your symptoms are really, really bad. Why? Because if we learn, because we have to learn, this is not something that we say, okay, yes, I'm feeling terrible, and I have to think it's super nice to feel like I'm sweating and I cannot lose weight, or I am waking up in the middle of the night. No, we're humans and we have to accept that it's hard. It's really hard. But it's also important that we start thinking this as an opportunity to get to know ourselves in a better way. That's, for me, has been the gift of menopause in my life at such an early young age, 44 years old. I was raising two little kids and I have to deal with all these changes in my body. And I said, okay, what am I gonna do? Fight against this and being upset because I'm dealing with this? It was a natural transition. I couldn't do anything about it. So I start changing the approach and I say, okay, I have this in my life. What can I do to befriend a little bit with the process? So one of the things, 8 years ago, we didn't talk about menopause like we talk today. Now we have these opportunities, these talks, workshops, books, movies, documentaries about menopause. 8 years ago, you Google menopause and all the things that you get back were negative things. It's very hard to deal with a situation when you are having so many negativity around you. But when you start learning more about it, and it's like everything in life, when you get to know something in a better way, you can change your narrative about it and how you live it. And there are many things that you can do to change that and to get a better approach. The minute or the moment that you realize that this stage in life can bring you many good and positive things besides the physical changes you're going through, it's gonna I think it's gonna be smoother, the navigation through it. I mean, it's gonna be not gonna be that hard. And listen, ladies, we're living in a fantastic time in our life, women's life, because now we have the technology and the science to support these changes. 50 years ago, it was very hard that women have access to treatments, to holistic approaches, that they have open forums to talk about this. We are we're blessed and we are fortunate to live in a society where when we can speak about this and we can create channels and communication links to know more about this stage. So how we think about this beautiful time in our lives, because I think it's a beautiful time in our lives, it will help us to navigate it in a better way.
Valeria, Betty, she's asking, and okay. So she's asking two things. She's saying, at what point should I consider a medical treatment? I just started with insomnia. I know habits are important to adjust with the same menopause. And I am sorry, like I don't want to wear glasses, but I'm too old. Oh my God, I can see with the menopause and natural ways to help yourself, but one thing to take treatments. And I want to tell you, Betty, before, she says something like I'm a very natural person in that sense. So I try to do like all the natural things. And for the insomnia, I'm taking magnesium and I'm taking estrogen, which is it comes from black hawkbush, which is an herb. And if you download the guide, we recommend it there, the estrogen. And so, Valeria, what do you think for treatment? Because we're going to talk a little bit about hormonal replacement as well.
Yes, I think that before you have to, what I recommend to my clients is that they follow for few weeks or a few months, like a journal of all their symptoms. What type of symptoms, when, at what time of the day they show up, what are your feelings, how they affect you in a physical way. Because when you have this in hand and you go to your annual checkup with your doctor, you have information that is like gold in your house, in your hands. It's easier when you go to see your medical provider with all this information and you tell him or her, look, I've been experiencing this for the past 3 months. I wake up in the middle of the night, at least 6 days, 6 nights a week, etc. I mean, when you have a record of all your symptoms, and then they can also guide you in a better way. Because if you just go to your doctor and say, you know what, I'm experiencing insomnia. Okay, the doctor will say, okay, tell me more about it. And you say, well, yes, maybe a few days during the week, but it also, there are many things behind that. Maybe you are stressed out for a personal situation in your life. Maybe, as Janira says, and that's very important to know, that at this time of our lives, we experience changes. Our kids go to college and empty nest. We work, and then all of a sudden they say, no, thank you very much. We are looking for younger people to cover your position, so you're dismissed from your job. There are other things that can also affect your sleep patterns besides the hormonal changes. That it can affect you in a harder way, yes, but it's important to have a frame of reference to see all your symptoms in a larger way. I am very cautious when recommending supplements to my clients, because you always have to talk with your doctor, primary doctor. I'm a coach, I'm not a doctor, but I recommend, listen, you can have melatonin, you can take magnesium, as Yanira said, or you can take this strobin. Strobin is a great supplement, but always talk to your doctor first, because you may be taking other medicine for other reasons, and these supplements may interrupt when you are taking. So always talk to your medical provider before taking any supplement, because there is some risk involved, and you don't want to get sick of other things for taking supplements. So that's my approach. But I do recommend to make a journal of all your symptoms before going to your doctor and ask him or her, am I a candidate for a treatment? And there are other things that doctors consider before giving you treatment, and we can talk about that a little bit later. I think we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, I wanna go through Thrive, and then I wanna talk about hormonal replacement, because I think there is misinformation there.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and remember that in the guide, all the latest information is there, so you can reach out to have a session with her. So we already talked about, I think, possibly, what about the age for hydrate and rest, Valeria? How important it is that we stay hydrated?
I think it's critic for many reasons. First, if you're experiencing hot flashes, having water by your side helps a lot to melt down the symptoms. Also, to help your body reset the metabolism, you need to take lots of water, because it's like a natural detoxing beverage for your body. I mean, drinking water is the best thing you can do. Also, if you are exercising, which we will go through that, it's super important to take water. I drink of this like 3 bottles a day, because I have decided to stay away from alcohol, coffee, and other beverages that really don't support me in any way. Water is vital for our life, for our brain function, for the hormone regulation, for your energy levels, and also, as I said before, like a detox. Through when you go to the restroom and pee, many things that are not good for your body go on the urine. So it's important that we keep at. And also, because one important thing, if you're feeling hungry, it may be a symptom that you are thirsty, not hungry. So if you take a glass of water before going and grab the first snack you found in your kitchen, maybe just take a glass of water, room temperature or with some ice, and then listen to your body and see how you feel. Maybe you feel, maybe I'm not that hungry. I can wait another hour until lunchtime. So maybe sometimes hungry is a sign of dehydration, not of hunger per se. And about the sleep, well, sleep is basic and important for all our body's functions, especially because when we are sleeping, our body resets completely and make many detox functions. When we wake up in the middle of the night, or when we go to bed super late at night, our body kind of deregulated. They say that the body starts this intoxication process around 10 p.m. So imagine if you go to bed by midnight, you are moving that natural process in your body later, and then everything can mess up. Also, if you don't sleep well at night, there is a huge impact in the hunger hormones, the leptin and the ghrelin, which are the ones who regulate the hunger levels in your body. So if you don't sleep well, there is a great chance that the next morning you want to grab the first carb that you see around, a huge croissant, I don't know, like a cake or a donut, because your body feels that need to compensate the fatigue and the tiredness you feel of not sleeping well with these carbs, refined carbs, which are not healthy for your body at all. So it's very important that you create a bedtime routine, trying to go to sleep not that late at night, switch off electronics 1 hour before going to bed, and try to relax also, because you know what, Yanira, nowadays, the cortisol levels of people, cortisol is the stress hormone, and we live in a constant level of adrenaline all the time. We are stressed out for everything. We need our bodies to reset and rest. That is critical for our hormone functions, not only through menopause, but all through our life. I mean, that's one of the most important things. We need to give our body the rest it deserves. And when we don't want our body to start like, hey, please pay attention to myself through a disease or a condition, well, we can take good care of ourselves before.
Valeria, I'm going to go quickly with the other Thrive framework
Yes,
so we
yes.
can go. Yeah, because we don't want to take more than an hour because we
Oh,
know
yeah.
that you guys are. But I want to talk about this. I'm sorry, Valeria, but involve the involved movement, right? Like moving all the time, and movement is. I mean, it's not about weight. It's about strength. It's about energy and bone health. So I mean, we're aging when we're in menopause, and when we age, we lose muscle mass and we lose the bone density. So when we exercise, we're helping, not having these diseases related, like osteoporosis or osteopenia related to menopause. So what we recommend is move all the time. And I'm going to talk about this because I love exercise. Valeria knows it. So I have my trampoline here. You cannot see it, but I have a trampoline here, my weights there, my bands, my mat. So I have developed my home, which makes it easier for me to move all the time. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm standing up, and Valeria sometimes she does that too. I stand in desktop, so I can be all the time moving. So that's something really good. And I'm gonna ask you, Valeria, about V in Thrive, which is value nutrition. And I'm gonna ask you for two questions that we have here. So hold on a sec. Riyadh said, oh, that's another one. Mary said, I've heard eating increased protein can help. Is that true? And then Betty, is coffee not that good for this stage during the morning, of course?
Well, first, the first one, yeah, protein is the king at this time of our lives, because protein helps us to build muscle mass. When we age, the mass of our muscles tends to decrease, to decline. So taking protein throughout the day, at least 3 times a day, is vital. Protein, I would say, and fiber. Healthy fats are also super important. What I will avoid is refined carbs. If you're going to take some carbs, try to make them whole, like, I don't know, brown rice, brown pasta with more fiber. Avoid sugar and avoid refined carbs. And yes, protein, try to eat protein 3 times a day and combine that with exercise, as Janira already said. And the coffee, yes, you can have coffee, I would say, in the mornings before doing all your errands or whatever you're going to do is fine. Many women experience issues with coffee after noon, after lunch. I would say have your last cup of coffee at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. max, because many women get a little hyper with caffeine. And if you're experiencing sleep issues, caffeine can really affect you. That would be my approach on that.
Yeah, and the last for the Thrive Menopause framework is engage support. And I'm going to talk about it. Like, I think one of the things Valeria has helped me so much. And if you need help, I mean, she's so good at this. One thing that, because before I was talking about menopause, it felt like really isolating, but it shouldn't be that way. And we shouldn't do it alone. And there is a study from Harvard Medical School that says that 90% of menopausal women say they feel better with a strong support system, with a strong community, but only 25% actively seek support. So if you can get support, talks like this help. There's so many advocate women that are talking about menopause, and Valeria being one of them. So I want to ask you, Valeria, because we have 10 more minutes for this. I remember that you can download the guide and we talk about all the steps and all the things that you can do to make menopause better. But I want to talk about menopause, about HRT, hormonal replacement therapy. And I want to talk about it. Like, I don't know that much. And I know that, like, for example, the therapy can reduce hot flashes by up to 75%, but only like 30% of menopausal women uh, actually use it.
Yes.
Or like me, like a menopausal girl, I rather not use it.
Mhm.
But then, because I've known so much about menopause from you, last time that I went to the doctor, I asked him. But every time they do my test, the levels are perfect. I know I'm in this period, but the thing is that when you're testing the estrogen levels, they fluctuate all
Yes.
the time during. So, what's your take on hormone therapy, and how can women decide what's right for them? Because Betty, she was actually asking about that.
Well, yes, the most important thing to know about hormone replacement therapy is that um, doctors prescribe it, especially when you are suffering um, from hot flashes. That's one of the main reasons they prescribe it. The second one I will say is that if you're experiencing severe mood swings, um, I would think those are the most important. There are women that prefer not to have hormones, and that's perfectly fine. And there is a medication that was released, I think, last year and it's approved by FDA. Is a drug that helps you to deal with hot flashes. Hot flashes are also called vasomotor symptoms. This drug helps you to deal with them. It's not a hormone. It's not hormone based. It only regulates this neuron in your brain that regulates the body temperature. It's called benzoa. Your doctor has to prescribe it. So those are the main two reasons a doctor will prescribe you with hormones. There is a chance that if you have a history of cancer in your family, in your close family, your mom, sisters, they will not prescribe. You're not a candidate for a hormone replacement therapy, because there is a high risk that you develop it throughout time. And yes, there are other options like the bioidentical hormones. FDA don't approve bioidentical hormones because they are made in compound pharmacies. I mean, the doctor prescribe you a dose, and every 3 months you have to go and test your blood levels, and they adjust the dose, but it's made in a compound pharmacy, which means it is mixed by a pharmacist. Here in the US, it's not covered by the insurance, so you have to pay out of pocket. I think it's around $500 every 3 months. But some women prefer that because it's a bit more natural. But at the end, the effects are more or less the same. And there are women who prefer not to take any hormones, prefer to take supplements, always guided by their doctors. The black cohosh, the rhodiola also is another. Estrogen is a good supplement. Also, is you can find it in pharmacies, but as I said before, it's always better to talk to your doctor and see if it's safe for you to have it. It's not just take it because your friends recommend it, because you never know the impact it will have in your body. What it makes good to me, maybe it will not be good to you. So it's better not to run the risk.
Okay, so I want to ask you two more things that I think are real important. Menopause at work,
Mhm.
because I think it's something really important, and libido as well, or sex, which is, we're in a safe space, and yes, we can talk about it. So the first one, menopause at work, is a real challenge. The brain fog, I have friends that like they don't know. Like one of my friends said, I feel stupid at work, when she did feel this way before. I mean, the hot flashes, the mood swings, and one third of women report that menopause symptoms negatively affect their work. Yet less than 10% feel comfortable with, talking to the employer. And again, this is important because this is like, having a kid or being pregnant. Everybody knows, oh, she's pregnant, oh, this is okay. It should be the same for us. So how, like very briefly, how can women advocate for themselves in professional settings? And write in the chat if you feel like menopause symptoms have affected your work as well. I'm gonna say yes.
Yes, I think it's super important to talk about this because women, as I said at the beginning, are now part of the productive system in companies and in corporations these days. Before, most women stay at home, moms, or stay, taking care of the kids. But more and more women are part of our productive force. So it's important that companies understand that they need to address these issues. That is, imagine if this is a taboo, talking about with your friends and family. In the office is much worse because you feel invisible, you feel alone, you feel you don't want to talk about this with your coworkers. But it's important that you address this at least with HR and say, look, we need to talk about this. I don't feel comfortable. In the middle of a meeting, I'm having a hot flash. How can you help me? Maybe have a little fun with me. Maybe I'm able to leave the meeting and go to the restroom to refresh myself. Take a closer approach to people, because at this time in our lives we feel sensitive, and it's true, we're emotionally going through so much, and we don't want to feel like we are left out or by ourselves. Considering that this is a natural transition in women's life, it has to be seen like that. A natural transition, like as you said, if you're pregnant, they give you lots of they support you at office. It should be the same with menopause, but we have to speak up, and we have to let our the superiors, bosses, or HR, that we need to talk openly about menopause. So that's
Beautiful.
my approach. Yes.
Look, what Brie just said, that it has affected my work. I've been in meetings and broke out in a sweat, glasses fogged up, fogged. I'm not, but no one else was hot. It was embarrassing. Yes, we have been there, done that. And I do want to talk because we're like we have 1 minute left, but I do want to talk about relationships because according to the Cleveland Clinic, nearly 50% of menopausal women experience changes in libido, and 30% say that they struggle with intimacy. And I had the chance with one of my friends to see a master class. I mean, from the master class, it was around menopause. And one woman was crying about that. Menopause can affect libido, mood, and the energy. And
And
even though it's different, like for me, zero. Every time I said, if I'm having like, if I'm in an intimate relationship, it's like, no way. Like my libido is like, I'm a man. And also I don't have the dryness that Ria was actually talking about that before.
yes.
So how can women communicate with their partners and maintain intimacy during this transition? What do you recommend?
I think it's super, super important to have an honest communication and conversation with our partners and tell them what are we feeling, because I have clients who are men who to hire me because they want to understand what is going on with their wives, because the wife is not talking to them. Imagine the level of separation that we're seeing there. So if we want to keep creating a very healthy relationship with our partners, we have to talk to them and be very honest and sincere about, well, what are we feeling, how we are feeling about this, and try to create with them a new relationship, starting not only from the physical side but also from the, it may sound a little bit romantic, but yes, try to reconnect again with your partner as if you were like teenagers. I don't know, it's like trying to, because we as women, we don't need that many women as physical interaction, but most from the heart. I mean, getting connected through the heart and then keep going to the next level. It's important that we start developing other ways of having sex. I mean, maybe not necessarily like full intercourse, because it can be super painful, but you can use vaginal lubricants or moisturizings, do pelvic floor physical therapy for tightness in the pelvic area, exploration of other sexual activities. I mean, and we have to be open about this. We have to start losing the fear of being open about that with our partners. I think that's an important part of the game and how we can change it. And one thing that helps, especially for the ones like me that we have young kids and they are away from home during the day, maybe schedule intimacy moments during the day. Why not change the idea that you have to have intimacy just at night? I leave it on the table because we don't have time, but maybe try to think of other, different things that we can try. It's
Well,
some little
Valeria,
ideas.
like I don't have a partner, but I do schedule during the week several times to do that, and maybe that's why my libido is up, and maybe that's why I don't have any dryness. So I don't know, I'm putting out there. So we're about to close this. Valeria, it has been amazing. I love
Thank
you.
you, Anita. Thank you very much.
4 years that we have been working together in our coaching program for women, in the podcast. It just fills my heart. I'm gonna put, like, if you downloaded the chat, if you downloaded the guide, Valeria's information is there, but I'm gonna put her email here. But I want you to, um I have a final question for you, Valeria. If you
Yes.
could give just one piece of advice in a sentence, just like we do
Mhm,
in our
mhm.
podcast,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
to a woman like it's entering menopause today, what would it be, that piece of advice?
Remember that knowledge is power, and that you have the power within yourself to become your best advocate in this time of life, and also became your best friend, because you have so many things inside you that are waiting for you to discover in this wonderful stage that is menopause.
Valeria, ladies, menopause, it doesn't have to be the end. It's actual, I feel, and after, having a menopause coach all the time that I need her, it's a powerful new beginning. If
Yes, it
you
is.
love this conversation and want to dive deeper, please make sure you download the free guide. The landing page is on there. So you have a little more information about who we are, what we do, and contact Valeria. And I again, we talk with Valeria. We talk all the time. We Sometimes we need help, and that's okay. Like if my phone is broken, I'm gonna get somebody to fix it because I don't know how to fix it. I mean, I'm a wellness coach, I'm a speaker, I know how to speak, but I don't know how to fix a phone. So if you feel like you need some guidance, I mean, I would say Valeria is your to go girl
Thank
in
you.
Spanish and English. So
Eddie, yeah, we can talk. I'm so
so
happy. I
I
was
don't know
happy to help
if
you.
anybody has a final question. If not, we're gonna let you go because we do understand that you have other things to do. So thank you, Valeria.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so much.
Janira. Thank you, everyone. And Thank you very much for showing up. This has been great to talk to you, Yanni, and seeing so many familiar faces here today. Thank you very much.